Hello, thank you for listening to A Glimpse of the Kingdom. I am David Pendergrass. I received an email not too long ago from a listener who had a difficult and very good question, or series of questions, but really comes down to one thing, and that is, what can I do to help? And I don't want to give you all the details for the story, but in essence, his brother is an addict. He said not long ago, his brother left his wife of 6 years, stopped going to work, and he said started acting crazy. He appears to be homeless, staying at friends' houses or sleeping in my old bedroom at parents' house. And he discussed the different things he's done. He's assaulted his dad, hassles him for money, makes up emergency situations, and been abusive. He said, my kids are scared of him. My wife is having anxiety because of that drug world, as it were. And he's had a couple conversations with his brother, but it's been very difficult. And he said a couple times it's gone well, that the brother will apologize, but then it goes back the way it used to be. He said his brother is a victim of sexual abuse, and now he's a victim of addiction. And he wrote a lot more information, but of course right now, I won't get into that right now. But his question is, apart from prayer, what should I do? What should I do? If you are a person who suffers from the same problem, that is, you have a relative or a loved one who is suffering from various addictions or an addiction, or sometimes even just particular mental illnesses, you can relate. If you do not have this in your family or in close friendship, then this is perhaps a good podcast to listen to help you relate to people who go through that. I just want to offer a few words of encouragement. I sent him a response. And I just want to repeat some of the things I said to him, because I think this is a very real world, and it's just a very good question, and it's heartbreaking. It's very devastating to see our loved ones do self-destructive things. It just is. It just is. There's no way around that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I encouraged him, as I would encourage you, listener, if you're struggling with the same kind of thing in your life, you need to understand that it will have an emotional impact on you. And you might say, well, David, of course it does, duh. But I really want you to pause. If you have not already, you need to really take into account the emotional impact addiction in a sibling or relative or good friend or someone you love has on you. It is very, very difficult on the family and the friends. It is. And that includes your own emotional state. And so what you need to do is really come to the grips with the fact that stuff has affected you. You might think, well, no, I'm fine. I'm bigger than that. I'm whatever. But I'm telling you, you have. The reason why I know that for a fact is because you're not a robot. Whoever's listening to this or anybody you know, they're not. And I've met people through the years who go, no, I'm fine with it. Well, you might have come to adjust to the situation, but you're not fine with it, meaning you have no emotion. It has no emotional impact on you. So the first major step to support and encourage you is you will have emotions about this, and that is perfectly normal and healthy. It is unhealthy not to admit it. Well, how do you deal with those emotions, David? Well, you need to journal. You need to journal, and studies demonstrating that writing it down is even better than typing it. But if you can't write out what you're sad about, write out how you feel. You might need to go see to a therapist. That's perfectly acceptable. You might talk to maybe you don't need that much, and maybe you do, and that's okay if you do. Maybe you need to have just a good loved one who can support you. The key, though, is a lot of times with friends and family members who might be good listeners, oftentimes they're not very good listeners. Most people are very uncomfortable with terrible feelings of sadness or anger, betrayal, whatever a negative emotion is. And so what they'll usually try to do is have you look on the bright side, or just maybe you're angry and they just want to get really, really, really mad with you, which doesn't really help your healing. Or they might try to get ways just to fix it, and that doesn't help your healing either. And that's why oftentimes someone who has counseling experience can help you, and you need someone like that. I've counseled people through the years, and I've heard the unfortunate damage that sometimes goodwill and intention people have done to those who are hurting because they told them just really bad advice. So if you don't go to talk to a counselor or a therapist or so forth, make sure your friend or loved one with whom you're speaking about this is really good at being a safe place for you to be wounded and have all kinds of negative feelings, because your negative feelings about someone's addiction is real, and they need to be there with you in that pain and that sorrow and so forth. But again, if it's something that might say simple conversations don't cut it, you need to go talk to a therapist, talk to someone, reach out to me, something. So the first thing is really admit it. You're going to suffer from sadness, anger, rage, all kinds of stuff. And it doesn't have to be one emotion. You can suffer from all kinds of negative feelings that arise. You probably even suffer from emotions you're not even sure yet until you start journaling or start talking about it, and then the feelings will come out. But I'm telling you, God can help you heal from that. So my first major encouragement is you need to process the feelings you have when you see someone you love who's addicted. The second thing is I did a podcast on addictions, and I hope you go listen to my podcast. If you go to my wherever you listen to my podcast, you can pull up my podcast and click search. For example, the app I use is Podcast Addict, but you can do it on Google Play, iTunes, whatever. Just search addiction, and you'll see my podcast there. And I've talked about addiction being a disease, and I explain more of that. But my second major encouragement is the person who is addicted really is imprisoned. He or she really is enslaved. There's a degree to which the person still has the freedom of the will, but in large part, when it comes to the addiction, they do not. They need professional help. And so my second major encouragement to you, the person who is seeing someone go through this, is really, I hope you can really hear me when I say, hear me well, the loved one is not the loved one you knew before. You're not dealing with your brother, your sister, your aunt, a friend, or whatever. You're dealing with an addict. And the addict's brain functions very differently than a non-addict's brain. Now, there are times when the addict might be more cogent, might be more aware, might be sober. It's in those moments that he or she really has the opportunity to seek treatment. So it's not that the addict's brain is always lit up, as it were. That depends on the addict. It depends on a whole host of things. But the average addict has moments of clarity, moments where they go, I really hate that I'm stuck in this, and I've lost power to make the appropriate changes. But I'm trying to encourage you, and that is by saying you should see them as an addict. So yes, the person is still your loved one. It doesn't mean just because they've now become an addict, now you're a judgmental punk. It's not that at all. I'm just trying to encourage you by saying an addict's brain, behavior, and so forth, they follow very specific patterns, and you're not dealing with a healthy person. So you need to go into that understanding that. The third thing I'd say is a lot of people have a real hard time establishing boundaries in their life, limits. And it's very common with people when your loved ones, because most people feel extra guilt when it comes to family or loved ones. They feel like if I say no to him or her, I am somehow not helping. I'm hurting the person. I'm harming the person. That's completely false. It's completely false. You need to know that your ability to establish boundaries is very healthy for the addict. It doesn't mean the addict will like the boundary. So give up that idea. Boundaries... Addicts won't like boundaries. I mean, just let that sink in. They will not like hearing you say, no, I can't give you money. No, I won't give you money. No, I won't take you there. No, I won't come clean up your vomit. No, I won't. They won't want to hear that. That's not a happy thing. The word no is not a happy word for an addict, because addicts are, remember, no matter what the addiction is, they have impulse control disorder to some degree. They cannot say no to whatever it is they want to feel happy about, and no is the opposite of that. Let me say it this way. They can't say no to themselves. They don't want to say no to their internal selves. They don't want to say no. The addiction says, no, don't say no, because I have to indulge. So having you say the word no is not fun for them. That's exactly right. So they're not going to like it. So give up any idea that ever the addict is going to want to hear the word no. Secondly, don't completely give up the idea that an addict will ever understand why you said no. When an addict's brain is in full force, the addict doesn't understand much, quite frankly. They understand one thing, that is, I have an overwhelming, powerful desire to do whatever my addiction is telling me to do. They're not going to be reasonable. They're not going to be rational. And this is where a lot of loved ones really, unfortunately, mess up, because it's a loving reason why the sibling might really want to be sweet and loving and kind. And so they say, well, here's all the reasons why I can't do so-and-so. And they try to be rational and explain it all and so forth. And sometimes that makes some difference. But for a person who's really addicted, for most of the time, when you're talking to them, really it's a kind of ammunition. It teaches the addict that they've got you. And as long as they got you talking like a salesman or saleswoman, and that's maybe bad as salespeople or good people, but I'm saying is in the stereotype, as long as you're talking, they're thinking on the side, I got a chance. I can wheeze them, whatever their excuse is, I'll find a way out of it. I've had people tell me, addicts or people who've done bad things and they're scared of the consequences, and they've told me personally, I thought you were a Christian. So people will go any lengths at all to try to manipulate you, to use guilt and all kinds of tactics to get what they want. And that's what they're trying to do, is get what they want. They're not trying to do the right thing, the rational thing, the reasonable thing, the thing that brings negotiation to all parties involved. They're trying to get what they want. And make no mistake about it, you are a means to that end. Addicts see people as a means to their end. That's it. Make no mistake about it. When an addict is full on mode and really wants to get whatever that substance is, or thing, or behavior is, people are pawns to their game. And as long as you talk and try to justify and rationalize with them, they think they can try to get to them. They're going to try to use you. Which in the end, either you're going to buckle, which is not good for them, and they'll get what they want, and you'll enable them to continue the addiction. Or that's probably the worst option. The second worst option is that you'll just feel very, very angry and frustrated because they just didn't listen to you and they didn't understand reason. Nope, they're not going to. So my third major thing about boundaries is, because they're not going to like it and because they're not going to find it reasonable and acceptable for your boundary, the third thing is you just have to be firm. And you want to give as little as information as possible about why you're saying no. You might say, no, I can't do that, or I've lost trust in you. No, I can't do that. I'm sorry. I wish I could help, but unfortunately, I don't trust you right now. Or just, no, unfortunately, I can't do that. No, I'm so sorry, but we can't do that. Why not? Why not? I thought you loved me. I do love you. We can't do that. Why not? Oh, it's because I don't trust you. I wish I did, but I don't. Well, David, that just sounds so mean. It's not mean. It is not mean is to call them names, be judgmental and condescending. Saying I don't trust you is just a fact. It's just true. Trust is earned and it can be removed, just like currency in a bank. You can build it up or take it out, and they deserve to hear the truth. So you're not being judgmental, you're not being mean, you're just telling the truth. Unfortunately, I can't do that. Now, while you're not giving rationalization for a long time about why you're saying no, something you can do if you wish to, and only if you wish to, is to describe how you feel about the addict's behavior. How you feel. That way you're not being judgmental and pointing your finger and being angry or losing your cool or screaming and cussing at them. You're talking about how you feel. You might say, no, I can't do that. I can't. And I just want to say one too, brother or sister or cousin or whatever. I am very, very, very sad to see you in this state. It breaks my heart to see you addicted to XYZ. Well, I'm not addicted. Okay, whatever you call it, it breaks my heart to see you in this state and this behavior. And I so hope and pray that you'll get the treatment you need for your life. I don't have a problem. You have the problem. I'm sorry you see it that way, but I'm just letting you know my heart breaks for you. I'm very sad to see that. It hurts all of us. Well, you're just trying to control me. No, I'm not trying to control you because it is your choice. It's your life. But it really hurts us because I love you. We all love you. And it hurts those of us who love you to see you make these choices that we think are very self-destructive. Well, you've always been this way. This is ever since childhood. You just don't like me. You just blah, blah. You. Well, I'm sorry you see it that way. But anyway, no thank you. I can't do what you asked me to do. You see, that's it. You can't join the fight. You can't join the argument. You can't rationalize. You can't explain. You're talking to an addict. An addict's brain, I should have said this earlier, it's like having a really petulant or angry fighting child. Imagine a little, well, frankly, in America, we say like a spoiled brat. And like a kid who just wants whatever they want when they want it. We've seen them at the toy aisles at a store, or they fall on the ground, kicking in their feet in the air and screaming and cussing and crying, I just want that toy. And then, I hate you, you're a meanie. Well, that's what addicts are. In general, they're like that. They're like a very angry, spoiled child who wants what they want, and they're going to do whatever it takes to get the response they want. And you can't give them the response they want. You can't. Well, David, if I do this, doesn't that mean I'm harming them? Because how I can help them, right? The answer is no, you can't. Unless you, I'm serious, unless you are a specialist in addiction care and your sibling or loved one or whomever has come to you for treatment, then you cannot help them. You can't help them. Let me give a different analogy. If the person has heart palpitations and they're fainting every 8 minutes and they go, well, how can I help them? Well, unless you're a cardiologist, you can't. You can offer, if they're incapacitated, to take them to a cardiologist, to take them to specialists. It's like that with addicts. You can offer, if you want to take them to a treatment center, but you can't make them go to a treatment center and you can't make them take the treatment. They're not in prison. That's a hospital. They can walk out if they want to walk out. And that's probably the last thing, a major point I want to make right now is that when it comes to addicts, you cannot fix them. You can't. And that is heartbreaking because it is, back to my first point, it's so difficult to see people do self-destructive things. But that's why you got to keep processing your own grief. You can't fix it. You can't make it better. So what do you do? Well, you see them as an addict. You establish clear, firm boundaries without being condescending and judging. And 3, you, if you want to, offer them to take them to trained professionals if they want it. Otherwise, there's nothing else you can do. Now, I've saved this thing for last on purpose, and I should be first, second, third, fourth. Yes, you should pray for them. I do very much believe that God's Spirit can inspire people, and it often inspires people. What I mean by that is, God's Spirit introduces thoughts into our minds. Well, He does. He does. And so you can ask God's Spirit to speak to him or to her in a way that's clear as possible. And the odds are very high the Spirit is already doing it, but maybe your prayer is exactly what God the Father and Son and Spirit are waiting on to do another breakthrough. I don't know. So pray for them, of course. Just understand that the addict, when they're cogent enough, and God knows the wisdom and when to speak to him or her, they have the ability to say no. They have the ability to say no. So we don't give up in praying. We say, God, please help them. Please give them strength and courage today to say no. And also give me strength and courage to say no to whatever their addiction is. Lovingly, kindly, God, give me the strength to process my grief. God, give me and my family strength to deal with this in a way that's Christian and kind without being confrontational in a hateful way, but certainly firm with our own boundaries. So, pray for every party involved, that's for sure. Just understand that until the person, and 99% of the cases, until a person surrenders their addiction to God, He won't make them stop because they have the freedom to keep doing it if they want. And that's sad. God is not happy about that. The God I know, in the face of Jesus, as it were, is not happy with people's addiction. He doesn't want them to be addicted. He doesn't want any of us to make self-destructive choices, but He does allow us the freedom to do that. If that's what we want to do, we can do it. If I'm going to go out right now and eat tree bark and drink some dirt, I can do that if I want to. It might kill me, but I have the choice to do it. But God doesn't want that. So He's not neutral. He doesn't have His proverbial arms crossed going, whatever, do whatever you want to do, punks. No, the God I know, I think is the real God of Christianity, cares deeply, very, very deeply for all people, including addicts. He loves them terribly, and He wants them to stop doing that. He wants to help them and inspire them and give them the energy and strength and motivation to stop. So we ask God for that addict for sure. Don't give up. Last I'll say this. There are support groups for people like Al-Anon. And there's that one is particularly for people who have alcoholics in their family. But you can go to Al-Anon no matter what the addiction is. You will find enormous support and encouragement for people like yourself who have family members or a loved one who's addicted. So again, one more time, there are support groups. Just do Google search for support groups for my family member who's an addict or something like that. But again, Al-Anon is one example, and they have meetings all over the country, probably the world, and you can find them online. But don't give up for sure, okay? Until next time.
Has this podcast encouraged or challenged you? Did you learn anything worthwhile? Then please take the time to compose a review of this podcast wherever you want. Let others know about A Glimpse of the Kingdom. Share it with your friends and family today.
Well, the conversation isn't finished. You can always reach out to me on social media. Are you on Facebook? I am too. At Glimpse of the Kingdom. Glimpse of the Kingdom on Facebook. Be sure to like it and you can see updates there. Also, if you're on Twitter, check me out at Dr. D. Pendergrass, at Dr. D. Pendergrass, or at Glimpse the King, at Glimpse the King. And I try my best to respond to comments and questions on there as quickly as I can. If you want more, there are many more resources on the podcast and my blog. Go to my website, davidpendergrass.com, and you can see a full list of the podcast, and my blog is available for free. Are you active in a church right now? I'd be happy to come out to your church and do all kinds of classes and workshops there. Check out davidpendergrass.com, davidpendergrass.com for more information. And may God in His great grace give you even just a glimpse of His kingdom this week. See you next time.